I want to tell you guys a story about the biggest simp the world has ever seen. It was your boy in high school. 4 straight years of simping, guys. I guarantee you my simping stories blow your simping stories way out of the water, okay? And you know how when you got to high school, a lot of guys had kind of, even if they didn't really know how to talk to girls, they had kind of gotten over that fear. Because a lot of guys in middle school, they had fooled around here and there. They fooled around at the park at night or something like that. Maybe they had a girlfriend. They held hands, they held hands with the girl at some point. Not me. And it was super embarrassing because actually a lot of girls liked me. Like I was kind of tall, I was kind of good looking, kind of funny, but I had no balls, dude. I had no balls whatsoever. I was so afraid of rejection. I didn't know how to make any moves, right? Especially, you guys remember that summer? The summer between middle school and high school. That's everyone graduated from middle school. Everyone's having graduation parties. You're mingling with the kids from like the surrounding towns and stuff. You're going to pool parties and stuff. Everyone was sucking face that summer, dude. Everyone was sucking face, but not me. I never did anything, and I had so many opportunities. I never did anything. And then we get to high school, and all my friends, they're moving along, but your boy, like, I had no idea what to do. And I specifically remember, if you went to a larger high school, a couple different middle schools maybe fed into that high school, right? So then on your first day of high school, you get freshman year, you're looking at all the people, all the girls from the surrounding schools that you had never met before, and you're like, dang, who's that girl? Who's that girl, right? My friend was like, bro, you gotta come over. I met this beautiful girl today. So I go to my friend's place after like our first day of freshman year. And he's like, I got her Facebook. he's like, I got her Facebook, bro. So we were using Facebook at the time. I was like, all right, let me check it out. And he shows me this girl. I was like, dang, she is cute. Like, what the heck? Like, I'm gonna look for that girl. It's so creepy, so creepy. I said, I'm gonna keep my eye out for this girl. It's so creepy. And he was like, yeah, may the best man win, dude. Both of us are dorks. None of us are getting any action. I'll never forget that. He's like, may the best man win, right? Oh, it's so funny. I was like, I'm gonna look for that girl. And then so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to the football game and I'm gonna look for this girl, right? Because the football game was like that's where everybody mingled, that's where all the cool people were hanging out, that's where everyone was sucking face behind the porta potties. You go to the football game on a Friday night, the band's playing, the school band, they're playing that song, hey, hey, baby, ooh, ah, I wanna know, will you be my girl? I used to love that song when they would play that, and I would always imagine myself like singing that to a girl, but I never did it. I never did it. And then you'd be walking around getting some popcorn, sharing it with the females. You'd be eating some pizza, and that pizza tasted like shit, bro. But it would be like the opposing school on one side and then your school on this side, and then in the middle, like you kind of interact with kids from the other school, and there'd always be these little beefs and stuff, and there'd be drama. They'd be like, oh my god, Taylor said that Rodney from the other school was hitting on her, but she has a boyfriend. And then we'd like send a bunch of our boys to like talk to Rodney. Anyways, I go to this football game looking for this. Not looking for this. Not like I'm stalking this girl. Like, where is she? Bring her here. No, but like I was there hanging out with my friends, but I was like, dude, I hope I see that cute girl, man. Like, anyways, so creepy, so creepy looking back at it. But I had no idea what I was doing. I I go there, and I actually see her. She was actually there. I didn't think I would see her. I remember it was like that scene of Wayne's World. You guys remember the movie Wayne's World? Wayne's World, he sees Cassandra, and it's like the whole world stops. Everything's black, and there's just like stars around her, and it's like, Dreamweaver, I believe you can get me through the night. It's like, and that's what it's like. Everything stopped, and I just saw this girl. I was like, that's the girl that my buddy showed me on Facebook. She's beautiful, right? Of course, I didn't talk to her though. Of course, I didn't talk to her. I just like saw her and then like walked away. I think I like stood near her with my boys. I was like, yeah, let's stand over here. My boy's like, yeah, we're gonna go back and watch the game. I was like, nah, like let's just stand here a little bit. And I just stood here. Anyways, like a month later, I meet this girl in one of my classes who was like, for some reason, this girl was way friendly with me, way friendly. But I wasn't into this girl at all. And I was like, why does this girl like me so much? And she adds me on Facebook. And I find out that she's like best friends with that girl, the girl that I was interested in. So I'm starting to be like, okay, yeah, like I'll talk to you, I'll talk to you. And it turns out that girl was actually interested in me, but I wasn't interested in her at all. But still, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be friends with this girl because then if I'm friends with her, then that'll get me closer to the girl that I'm interested in. I still haven't even talked to. So she starts inviting me to like parties and stuff because she had a crush on me, but I wasn't interested in her, so I would go as a friend, right? And then I eventually became friends with this girl that I was interested in. And I was just like, hey, I'm just the cool guy. I'm just friendly. Like, I just know everybody, right? Terrible game plan. And specifically, I remember we were watching Pulp Fiction at the girl that liked me. We were at her house. It was like me, her, and the other girl, and maybe like one other person. And I'm laying on this couch next to the girl that I was interested in. At this point, like I had talked and kind of been friendly with her, and like we met each other. We were acquaintances. I wouldn't say that we were friends, but we were acquaintances. We're laying on the couch next to each other watching Pulp Fiction. I'll never forget this. And I didn't say anything. I was dead silent for like hours. I didn't say a single word. And then I got in the car, and I remember I get into my car. It was like my parents' like silver van that I was driving, like a soccer van. After the whole excursion, I was been there like 2 hours. We were watching this movie. She was laying next to me. I didn't even say a single thing to her the whole time. And I get in my car. I'm like punching the steering wheel, like, damn it, why can't you just make a move? Damn it. Anyways, of course I didn't make a move. This girl gets a boyfriend, and then I'm like in my feelings every single day. I was so salty. I remember I was so salty. I was like, I can't believe she has a boyfriend. Like, I'm so much cooler. I'm taller. I'm better looking. She's got this jerky boyfriend. I don't even know who this guy is, right? But I didn't even make any moves, and I had it on a platter for myself there, like already multiple times, literally watching a movie next to this girl. Didn't do anything. And then they invite me out. Like this whole group of friends, they invite me out because once again, that girl, like her friend, still liked me. So they invite me to the city one day. They're like, "Oh, we're going to the city." I was like, "Who's gonna be there?" Can I make it any more obvious? I was like, "Who's gonna be there?" And they're like, "Blank is gonna be there, and she's going with her new boyfriend, and whoever else is there." And literally, they told me the girl that I liked is gonna be there with her new boyfriend. I didn't know this guy, but I was like, "Yep, yeah, I'm there. I'm there." Dude, come on, bro. I was like, yeah, I'm there. And then I just go there as friends with them, and I meet this boyfriend of hers. She's got this boyfriend, right? And by the way, I think the reason that I found this girl so interesting was because she was from this country that I had never heard of. She's from this European country that I had never heard of, and I was like, "What is that? It's so different." And she had a different vibe to her, and I was like, "Wow, it's so mysterious." Anyways, I get to the city and I meet her and her boyfriend and her other, her other friend that was into me, and her boyfriend's this dude who's like 2 or 3 years older than us, and he's got like holes in his jeans and holes in his shoes, and he was smoking a cigarette. I don't think he was old enough to smoke cigarettes, and he was super jerky. He wasn't like a good looking dude at all. He was short, he was like really scruffy, but he had this attitude about him. He was wearing like dirty band shirts, like Lamb of God t-shirt or something, and he had like this tough guy attitude. And I remember thinking like, this is her boyfriend. This dude's a scrub, bro. I remember thinking this dude's a scrub, and I had a tank top on that day. Especially, you gonna have a boyfriend next to me when I got a tank top on? I had a Blink 182 tank top on that day. I'll never forget. I thought it was so cool because I just started to lift weights a little bit. My arms were like toothpicks, but I thought I was kind of swole. I was in the city. I was going to hang out with them, and she's there with her boyfriend, this guy who's like older, and he's smoking cigarettes and stuff. And I was like, wow, like I'm taller than this dude. I'm nicer than this dude. I have a tank top on, a Blink 182 tank top. I'm more athletic. I probably have better grades than this guy. Like I have a brighter future than this guy. But this guy was just like short, kind of didn't give a fuck, like skater, like pot smoker guy. He was smoking cigarettes in the city. He had aviator sunglasses on, and he had those Chuck Taylor shoes on. Oh my gosh, he had Chuck Taylors on. He had the aviator sunglasses. He had a little bit of a beard going. He was a man. At that time. He was a little squirt of a guy, but he was a man. He was like grown up. And I remember I meet him, and I was like, hey, how's it going? Like, I'm Jimmy. And he was like, all right, Tom, cool, good to meet you. And I was like I wasn't sure if he was talking like that was his name or what. I was like, is he calling me Tom? And I think he must have known that like I liked his girlfriend or something like that because he purposely called me Tom then the rest of the day. And I would be like, hey, it's Jimmy. And he'd be like, yeah, sure, Tom, go do this or something. And I would listen to this dude. He would like I remember we went to Five Guys. Way expensive, by the way, like totally overrated Five Guys. But we went to Five Guys, like with everybody. And he was like, yo, Tom, I need a refill. And I was like, oh, dude, it's Jimmy. But yeah, I got you, bro. Like, diet? Yeah, yeah, I got you. I went and I got him a refill. And the funniest part about it, we like walked around all day going to like different sites in the city and stuff. And somebody had like an uncle who had like a boat on a dock in Chicago, on Lake Michigan. And they're like, yo, you can go on my uncle's boat and like swim. And we're like, sick. And I remember I would like jump in the water, and there's this girl that I like, and her jerky boyfriend, like older boyfriend, and they're like holding each other in the water and they're making out. They're like in the water. And I jump in the water and I'm like next to them and they're like making out, and I'm just by myself like right next to them though, and I'm just treading water. I'm just like, and they're just sitting there like sucking face hard as hell right in front of me. And I was just like, this is hell. Why did I come here? What am I doing? But that was my only game plan. I was like, I just got to be friends. I just got to be friends with this girl, right? And anyways, I was destroyed. Basically, we had like the most terrible day of all time. This dude was roasting me the entire time. I was just laughing it off and putting up with it. I didn't know what to do. It was terrible. We go home, of course. Then like months later, I'm just like the entire like every single day, like I'm checking her Facebook. Yeah, like on her Facebook page, it would say like in a relationship with blank, and I was like checking it to see if it was like maybe not in a relationship suddenly, and I would check it like every day, dude. So creepy, so strange, so embarrassing. But like I said, I was like 14 years old or something, so I mean, what can you do? Yeah. And every single day I did that, right? And then I basically simped for this girl for like 2 years. She's dating like all types of different guys. And then the next year, this is sophomore year, okay? So that was freshman year. Sophomore year, I find out she's single. I'm like, all right, like it's go time. It's go time. Here we go. I remember I was sitting at her lunch table too. Like I wouldn't even talk to her, but I like found a way to like sit at her lunch table, like near her, and I would never talk to her, but I was like at her lunch table. So I thought that was cool. I thought I was in kind of. And Valentine's Day comes around. This is sophomore year, and I start talking to some of her friends. And at this point, like that girl who liked me, who was her friend, like I was still friends with that group, kind of, but she wasn't interested in me anymore. Like that kind of that ship had sailed. So I talked to her, and I was like, "Yo, all right, let's just be honest. I like your friend. How do I get her out on a date?" And she was like, she really likes Snickers. You could try to ask her out on Valentine's Day with a Snickers. I was like, wow, great idea. So I buy this giant Snickers, right? This big Snickers. I put a red bow on it, and I bought tickets to see. I think it was like Iron Man. It was like Iron Man or Transformers or something. And I like go and I talked to her on Valentine's Day, which Valentine's Day was like a Wednesday. It worked out perfectly because that Friday was when we were seeing when I bought the tickets for Iron Man. So I go after school. I'm freaking out all day. I got this Snickers in my backpack. It's melting because I was like looking at it and making sure the bow wasn't falling off, and my hands were so hot, and like the stickers started melting. It was terrible. And like all day I'm like reciting a script of what I'm gonna say to this girl and stuff. And I was shaking. I was actually physically shaking. The bell rings, and I'm on my way to go to like where her locker is. It was a little bit of a walk from my locker, and I was like I was shaking actually, like trying to figure out what I was gonna say, trying to make sure I had my lines right in my head. And I come up to her and I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry to bother you, but I was just thinking like I miss talking to you and hanging out with you, and I was wondering if like you might want to go like see a movie with me. I have tickets for Iron Man on Friday night, so like yeah, what do you think?" And she was like, "Wow, that's so nice of you. Yeah, I'd love to." And I was like, "Cool. Can I get a hug?" It's like, "Can I get a hug?" And we like had this really awkward hug, and I give her the Snickers, and yeah, and I walked away, and I remember I get home and I like went straight to my mom's basement, and there's like nobody home at the time. I went in the basement and I like played some music on the radio. I think it was Man Overboard. Man Overboard is a band. Is probably that song voted most likely. That was like my good feels song at that time. Meet me at the back door just so we can talk more. And I was like dancing around. I was like, let's go. Finally, it's been like 1.5 years knowing this girl, trying to get this girl out on a date. Well, not actually trying, but just hoping she would like ask me on a date or something. I was like, let's go. And then literally like an hour later, I get a text from her friend. And her friend was like, "Hey, sorry, but she can't go on the date with you." And I was like, "What? Why not?" And she's like, "Well, she actually likes some other guy and they were kissing after school today." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Fuck," right? I was like, "Fuck, no." And I was like, "Who is this other guy?" Like I was determined to figure out who this other guy was. And like my friend told me his name, and I like looked him up on Facebook. He didn't have a Facebook. Dude, so creepy looking back at it, but like that's just, like I said, hey, that's just what you do when you're in high school, man. When you're a simp in high school, I guess. Couldn't even find the guy, and so embarrassing. And then I start like then I'm back at school and I'm just depressed. I didn't even talk to her. I think I might have like gone and sat at a different lunch table. We didn't even talk. She never even said like, "Hey, sorry about that" or anything. I mean, not like she necessarily needed to, but and I start walking around. One day, I see that her like hanging out with this guy after school, like outside, like back like near the baseball fields or something, like on a bench or something. She's with this dude. I don't know if this dude even went to the school. This dude. He was like one of those guys that when when you're like a young kid, you're like in middle school, high school age, and you hang out at like the local 7-Elevens or something, like the local parks, you're like skateboarding around, and there's like, you're skating around and shit. And then there's these guys that you always see hanging out at like 7-Eleven, and they're like super seniors and guys who just graduated high school, but for some reason they still hang out with high schoolers, and they're always wearing like wife beaters, and they're on like little bikes that are way too small for them that might be stolen, and they're kind of grungy, and they're smoking cigarettes and stuff like that. He was like one of those guys, like this older guy. I don't know if he even went to the school. He might have been a super senior. He was super tall. He had a beard. He had piercings, and he had one of those drug rug hoodies on. You guys know what I'm talking about, like those Rastafarian like drug rug hoodies. He was like this total like stoner guy, and I thought he might have been older. He didn't even go to the school, and I was like, what? Like, that's the guy that she's talking. That's the guy that kissed her when I was trying to take her to Iron Man. What the fuck, dude? I remember being like, I'm on the baseball team. I'm on the basketball team. I'm on the honor roll. I'm on National Honor Society. I'm tall. I'm good looking. I have a lot of friends. But I was a simp. And this guy's older, he knows people. He's got a beard. He's cool. He doesn't give a fuck. He's kind of living his vibe. I had no idea, but I was upset about it. I was so upset about it at that time. Never forget that. Right? And so I was like, wow, this guy's a scrub. This guy's a fucking scrub. But, I didn't know anything. And so that was my sophomore year. And then basically same thing happened that happened the freshman year. I find out she's got this boyfriend. I get super upset about it. I'm like super depressed. I go back to like checking her Facebook every day. In a relationship, not in a relationship. In a relationship, not in a relationship. Obviously, I know what you're thinking. I should have just moved on by this point. Yeah, like of course, right? I didn't know what to do, man. I was lost. I was a poor, lost, confused young child with no guidance. So now, junior year comes around. I get this other girlfriend. I kind of got over her because she was dating that other guy forever, and I start dating this other girl. Anyways, I date this girl for like a month. Things kind of fell off. That was that, nothing really serious happened. We dated for like a month. I get over it. And then like right after I break up with that girl, somehow this girl comes waltzing into my life as soon as I broke up with that girl. Or maybe it was around the same time even. I could like figure it out. I could go back to my Facebook messages, but anyways, I had this other girlfriend, and right at the same time that I broke up with that girl, we dated for like a month. This girl comes back in. And she's like, "Hey, I miss you. Where are you?" Or she's like commenting on my Facebook pictures, like, "Wow, handsome, cute," or something like that. This girl that I was originally interested in. Anyways, I broke up with that girl, and I'm like, "Well, I'm free now. Like, what's going on? Where you been for the last year, right?" And then we catch up. She was dating this other guy, and once again, super confused. I'm like, why is this girl into me now that like I finally getting attention from other girls? I got a relationship now, but now she's all into me. What the hell? I was like super weirded out by it, but I was like, damn, this is the girl that I've been in love with for like 2 whole years. So, anyways, I start talking to this girl. I know, stupid looking back, stupid, but start talking to that girl again, right? And she's like, all right, like let's hang out. So I'm like, yeah, let's get it. Like, come to my house. Like, come to my house. Like, there's this really cool movie I want to show you. Like, Gran Torino was the movie I wanted to show her for some reason. I was like, yeah, we gotta watch Gran Torino. You can come to my place. I got a TV in my room. It was one of those big like old fashioned TVs. It was like a shitty little thing. And I played Gran Torino on my PS2, guys. I had a mini PS2, and I put it in there like the disc, and then I hooked it up to this old TV with those like little cables. And she actually came over. Like, this was right after I broke up with that other girlfriend. She actually came over, right? And she's laying on my bed, and we're watching Gran Torino in the dark. Nobody is at my house. 2 hours of a movie go by. I didn't even touch her once. We're literally laying on my bed in the dark. Nobody's home. Right there next to each other. I didn't even touch her once. I don't think I even said a word throughout the entire movie. And then, like, the movie ends. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, well, thanks. Like, have a good one. And then she leaves, and that was it. And I was like, when can we hang out again? When can we hang out again? And, and she, of course, she like kind of stopped showing interest a little bit. And I was like, dang, that. Then she like, she stops hitting me up for a little bit. But I was like, I'm still interested in this girl. Like, I gotta get this girl on a date or something like that, right? So I asked her if she was going to Battle of the Bands. Like, how many times have I been with this girl now? I failed to make any move, even though she's like giving me attention. So she's like, yeah, I'll be down to go to Battle of the Bands. She was into music, I was into music, and I was like, this is gonna be my play, right? This is gonna be my night, because I know a bunch of people that are in bands. They're gonna be bands from other schools, and I know those people. And one of my best friends is a really good drummer from a really good band from a different school, and I know all his friends too. So it's gonna be like Battle of the Bands, people from other schools. I know all these people. I know this cool band. I'm really good friends with the drummer. I'm gonna look like a cool guy. This is where I need to take her. So I invite her to go to Battle of the Bands with me. She's like, yeah, I'll do it. Even though I completely screwed up like multiple weeks before when I what was it? Yeah, when I had her in my house watching Gran Torino, right? So we go to Battle of the Bands, and my boy's there. All these people from the other school that I know. I know the words to the music of the band's songs. I'm singing along. I'm looking like a cool guy. She's like hanging on my arm. I'm like, let's go, let's get it. Like this is all working out. My plan's working out, right? And I'll never forget this. We had like kind of a little group of friends that we made like after Battle of the Bands was over, and I was like, yo, let's go to Sonic, because Sonic's open late, and I like the milkshakes there. And I was like, yo, would you be down to ride in my car? I'll drive you there. And she was like, yeah, I'd love that. And then we get to Sonic, right? And I was like, hey, would you mind if I buy your shake for you? And she was like, yeah, you can totally do that. And I buy her a shake. We kind of hang out with our friends, and then we get in my car, and I'm like, all right, this is time. Like, I got to make the move. Here it is. Here we go. This is the girl that I've been simping for 3 entire years. I've failed time and time again, but we're finally here, and I'm about to make the move that I've been waiting for 3 years. We get in my car. We drive back. I was gonna drive her back to her place, but she's like, no, I'm gonna stay at my friend's house tonight. So take me to my friend's house. I'm like, all right, bet. We go there, and her friend had this giant, perfectly long, like giant dark driveway where you could just kind of hang out in there. Nobody knew what you were doing. There were no lights inside, and I was like, this is perfect. So I got some music on the radio. We're sitting there, we're drinking our Sonic shakes. I'm with the girl that I've been simping for 3 years. She seems to be into me. Everything is going perfect, right? But I didn't really know how to make a move, so I pull out my iPod, right? And I'm like, hey, do you like this song? Hey, do you like this song? Because I had my iPod plugged into one of those like tape deck things, you guys remember? And it would like, it's somehow attached to like a radio station in your car. It was my parents' silver van. You like go to a certain radio station, then you plug it into your iPod, and somehow you get on there and you play, and it kind of has like there's like static and stuff like that, but you can still hear the music. And I had my iPod Nano out, and I was playing like the classics from back then. I was listening to like Coheed and Cambria. I was listening to like some Lamb of God. Um, what was the name of that fucking band? Avenged Sevenfolds, 3 Days Grace, a lot of Chiodos at the time, A Day to Remember. Yeah, anyways, like a lot of funny shit. We Came as Romans. You are so far. Anyway, and I was like, yo, you like this song? And she's like, yeah, that's pretty good. I was like, how about this song? Yo, this band's sick. But I was like stalling, like hoping she was gonna make a move on me, but she never made the move. And I was like, shit, like what do I do? I've bought all this time, she hasn't made a move on me. All right, well, I guess I'm gonna try to like walk her to the door of her friend's house, and then I'll try to kiss her there. And I had this plan, like in case it came to this, I had this plan, all right? Because I didn't know how to kiss. I had never kissed a girl before. Well, actually, I take that back because I had kissed my ex-girlfriend, but it was like super awkward. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to kiss her. I know it's gonna be terrible. I know I'm gonna screw it up. So I'm gonna try to kiss her once, and then I'm purposely gonna say like, "Whoa, that was awkward." Like I'm gonna like act like it's her fault. Like I'm gonna blame her for it. I'm gonna say like, "Wow, she had like an awkward move on me." And then I'll do it again, and like it'll be like I'll break the ice somehow, or I'll put her into my frame by saying that she was awkward, and then I'll kiss her again. It's so manipulative and so shitty, looking back. But I had this idea in my head that that was gonna work. So I like, all right, well, I guess you should get going. Walk to the door, and we held hands walking to the door. I was like, yo, you can hold my hand. We'll walk to the door, I'm like, oh, here we go. My heart's beating fast, everything. This is the girl that I've been simping for my entire high school career. Let's go. It's my junior year, guys. This is where all the hard work pays off, right? We'll walk up to the door, And we're standing there, and she's like, "All right, well, thanks. Like, thanks for the milkshake. Thanks for driving me around. I had a good time." And she's like staring at me. She's like looking at my lips and everything, and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And she's like, "I guess I should be going." And I'm just like, "Yeah, yeah." Like I'm just staring at her because I wanted her to make the move because I didn't know how to make a move. And then I just grab her face. I just like and like put this really weird kiss on her. And then I did exactly what I said I was gonna do. I pull away and I was like, "That was awkward." So shitty, dude. So shitty. Such an asshole thing to do. And she's like, "Was it?" She's like, "Was it?" And she was all weirded out. And then I was like, "That's okay. You can do it again." And then I kissed her again. And she's like, "Whoa, okay. All right, well, good night." And then she goes in her friend's house. And I'm just like, "Yeah, good night." I'll never forget this, dude. I go back into my parents' van and I put the music on. And the song that was playing at that time was that song by Newfound Glory. Do, 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 do. You'll never know I'm after you. You guys remember that song? Anyways, I'm sure you don't. And I was like, I blasted that shit, and I'm like banging on the steering wheel, like, let's go. I'm driving home. It was like 5 minute drive back to my place, and I was like, let's fucking go. I was like, I was so fucking hyped, dude. I was like, yes, yes. I was so hyped. I remember screaming. I was like, that's what you're fucking talking about. That's why you put work in on the off season. Oh, dude, I was so hyped, bro. I'll never forget that feeling, man. I was so hyped. I was like, this is the girl I've been dreaming about for 3 years. I just kissed her. Let's go. Right? And then I'm like, let's get a date going. You know, I'm like, immediately, let's get the next date going. Come on, let's go. Which is good, which is good. So, I hit her up like the next day or something like that. I was like, let me take you to see Django Unchained. So it's like January or February or something like that of my junior year. Let's go see Django Unchained, right? And she's like, all right, cool, sounds great. I don't know what was going on with me that night, but I had no balls. Even though I'd kissed her before, I had no balls. Get her into my car, drive her out to this mall. We see Django Unchained. It was a good time. We had popcorn, all that, drinks. Drive her back to her place. We're talking in her car or in my car. Didn't make a single move. I was just like, all right, well, have a good night. But I was too afraid to do anything for some reason, even though I had already made the move in the past. Nuts, dude. Nuts, bro. She goes in, and that was it. That was the end of the date. I don't know. I froze up. I couldn't do anything. And then she messages me like a week later, and she was like, hey, I'm sorry. I just don't think this is working out, basically. And I remember like, what? Like, what could have gone wrong? I had no idea. I was like, we just went on a date. We just went on a date. What are you talking about? I didn't do anything, though, of course. And it was funny, too, because I remember responding to it, and I was like, well, hey, well, no problem. Like, if you change your mind, I'll always be here, and, like, you'll still always have me as a friend. Dude, so embarrassing, bro. So embarrassing. I was like, you still always have me as a friend. I'll always be here. Dude, so embarrassing. Anyways, I don't think she, like, ever hit me up again, right? And then, next thing I know, I'm looking on Facebook like a week later, and she's hanging out with my ex-girlfriend. I actually had this, like, I remember I said I had this girlfriend for like a month. Kind of this weird thing, just lasted like a month. And she's hanging out with that girl, and they didn't know each other before. And I'm like, whoa, 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 what is this? What is this? And then I start getting mean messages from, like, both of them. Like, my ex-girlfriend was like, you broke up with me to date this girl. And I'm like, no, I didn't do that. Well, like, let's just say the timing was right. The timing was incredible. But maybe I did kind of do that. Yeah, this was shitty, but I don't know. Anyways. But why aren't you mad at her? Like, she kissed me, like, whatever it was, like a month after we were dating or something, and you're mad that I kissed her. But now you're best friends with that girl and she kissed me? Like, this doesn't make any sense, right? I remember thinking that. And somehow, I don't know why the girl that I was crushing on forever was angry at me too. Yeah, she was like saying, like, you broke up with her to date me? What's wrong with you? Made no sense. You were the one hitting me up while I was just getting out of that relationship. Somehow they found a way to turn it on me. Luckily, I never apologized for that because that's like something that I would have done. I would have like said, I'm sorry guys, but I didn't apologize for that. I don't think I even responded. But I remember thinking like, what the hell's going on here? Like, this is fucked up, dude. So anyways, that girl, yeah, and I ended up kissing her, and then I took her on another date. I didn't do anything after that. She never hit me up again, dude. And then she like turned on me and like made an alliance with my ex-girlfriend, and they were both talking shit about me. And then I was like, all right, this, I'm out of here. Like, I'm out of here, dude. And I kind of like actually kind of got over that girl by the time like junior year was over. And I remember I went on summer break, and I come back summer break, summer break. I left on summer break. I come back for senior year, and this girl that I was crushing on forever, she'd totally changed. Totally changed. Like senior year of high school, that's when people start getting into politics. They start kind of forming, they start forming their own opinions and shit. They start, getting all like, all the girls start getting a little bit feministy. She comes back for senior year. The girl that I was interested in, she's got this super short haircut. She's like not shaving her armpits. She's not wearing makeup and all this stuff. And that just, I was already like kind of over her. And then I saw her and I was like, whoa, all right. I don't know what happened here, but I'm not down. I'm not down. I'm not down anymore. So that made it a little bit easier to get over her finally. And then all of her friends started turning on me and my ex-girlfriend because at the beginning of senior year, there was this debacle at school where people were freaking out for some reason. It was something like the girls' locker room was smaller than the guys' locker room, like they found out, or there were like less amenities in the girls compared to the guys' locker room or something like that. They found out, and all these people were saying it was because of sexism. Everyone was freaking out about it. And I was saying, well, it's just because there are more guys, or there are like more guys in sports or something like that. Anyway, so I made this Facebook post, and I was like, just because there's less here, this in the girls' locker room doesn't mean it's because of sexism. And that's what I said. I made this Facebook post at the time, and she and all of her friends like tried to light me up. They all got in my comments. They were like calling me a misogynist. At the time, I didn't even know what that was. They were talking about feminism. I don't even know what that was. I just entered senior year of high school. They were, going in on me. And I was like, whoa, this isn't cool at all. Luckily, at the time, I had a good ass group of homies, and especially I had a lot of online friends. And I didn't tell them. Everybody thought that I told them to like I was like, sick 'em, get 'em. I was like, go light these bitches up. But I wasn't like telling them to do anything. But like my homies, they went to bat for your boy. My homies came out the mud for your boy. They started coming up out the gutter and just lighting these bitches up. Boom, 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 boom. In the comments, they were like going in on these girls' appearances, saying the reason that they were feminists was because they look like that. All this, like they were lighting these girls up. I didn't tell them to say that. And then I start getting messages from these girls, and they're like, okay, like, we won't comment anymore, but tell your friends to stop, like, commenting on our appearances and saying stuff. Why did you tell your friends to do that? I'm like, I didn't even tell my friends to do that. But yeah, my friends lit these bitches up, dude, straight up. And that was like the end of it. Then I remember like that girl and her entire friend group blocked me. Like they blocked me on Facebook. That was the end of it. And I was still like, I wasn't even saying anything negative to them. I wasn't trying to be an asshole. I was just trying to present a counter argument. I still thought of myself as the nice guy, and they hated me. Yeah, and they all unfriended me. I think I even like saw them at the lunchroom or something like that, and they were like scoffing at me, like, and they were spreading rumors about me. And so I was like, all right, anyways, I'm out of this shit. I'm over this shit, dude. I can't believe I simped for this girl for so long. Anyways, and that was that basically, and I kind of got over this girl. And what happened was a couple years after high school, like I completely forgot this girl even existed. It turns out like she went to this like same like party that I went to kind of when we were sitting at like this dinner table, and just how somehow happened to where like I'm sitting directly across from her at this dinner table. And of course like I know she don't like me anymore, but like whatever, we gotta make it awkward. Of course I'm not gonna be a douchebag, I'm a gentleman of course at the end of the day, so I'll be formal and everything. And she comes and sits down, and she sits directly across from me. And I was like, oh, this is the girl that I used to simp for in high school for all the time. And then she hated me and said that I was a misogynist. So, so she like sits down, and we make eye contact as soon as she sits down. And I was like, hey, how's it going? Just friendly, right? That like, come on, I'm a reasonable guy. That's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not being a douchebag. I'm just being reasonable. It's like, hey, how's it going? I'm not trying to talk to her. I'm not trying to risk her up. Come on. If we're gonna be sitting here at this dinner table together for like 2 hours, might as well just be cordial. So I'm just like, hey, how's it going? And she just looked at me, and she goes, and like looks away, and then didn't look at me for the rest of the night. And that was that. And now, I mean, I've obviously, I haven't even thought of her. Like, I don't know what she's doing or anything like that, but I actually didn't even think of this girl at all. It was because you guys were asking me like, tell us some funny stories, and I was trying to think like, do I have any funny stories, like really embarrassing stories? And I think about like the times where I was most embarrassed in my entire life. On that trip when we went to the city in Chicago, and I'm treading water in Lake Michigan next to the girl. Whoa, that's a huge raven. I'm treading water in Lake Michigan next to the girl that I like, and she's with her like multiple years older boyfriend who was calling me Tom the whole day and having me bring him refills of Coke. And they're making out in the water, and I'm treading water next to them trying to be friendly. Like, that was the most embarrassing point of my entire life, probably. Anyways, so I simped for that girl for like three and a half years. She gave me countless opportunities to make a move. I never made the move. She dated so many guys who were like way older, who were like drug dealers. You know, I get it now because, you know, these guys, like, they knew everyone. They were chill. They didn't give a fuck about society's rules. They were going to be themselves. They were different. They were older. They had facial hair, you know. And at the time, I was like, dude, are you kidding me? I'm more athletic. I'm a National Honor Society student. I'm really nice. She should like me. Legit, every single day I remember I would get to school and I would be looking around, like my head would be on a swivel the whole day, like looking for her. And if I saw her, I would just like say hi. And if I said hi to her, like if I had the courage to say hi to her that day, I would be like, yes, okay, I did it today. I accomplished my goal today. Let's go. Yes. Crazy. And then I would get home and I'd be on the bus and I'd be listening to my music. And every single time I'm listening to my music, I'm just like thinking about her. I'm thinking of myself in like a music video, like singing to her and stuff like that. Then I'd get home and I would listen to music and I would think about her. This girl like was not thinking about me. Crazy simping, dude. But I'm so glad I'm past that point in my life. So those are my stories, guys. Those are my simping stories. I'm sure I have more, but those are the specific ones from high school about this specific girl. If you guys can relate, let me know. If you guys have any similar simping stories, let me know. Also, if you have any ideas of like interesting stories or questions to ask me where I can tell you a story, because I did not think of this story till just recently. I was like, oh, it's kind of funny. It's worth telling on YouTube, so I'll do that. But now I'm a Chad, so the reason I'm actually telling this story is so you guys can realize anyone can do it. If I can simp that hard, I can be a Chad now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not actually that cool now, but at least I kind of know which end is up in the world. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. If you guys want to become a YouTube member, guys, it's $2.99 a month. Not much at all. Limited videos, exclusive live streams, early access to videos. A lot of people that want to talk to me, they want to ask me all these questions. You guys are emailing me all the time. I appreciate it, but I'm really just getting way too many emails, way too many messages. I cannot respond to everybody. If you want to book a call with me and I can actually like really tell you what it's like to get to live in Japan, to learn the language, anything like dating advice, anything that you guys need. If you actually really want to like hear my advice, if you really want to talk on the phone, you can book a call with me. There's a link in the description. Hit me up, guys. Young James. Thank you so much.